Have you ever stopped and realized how much of your life is being lived according to a story you wrote years ago? Maybe it's a story about what you're capable of. Maybe it's a story about what you deserve. Or maybe it's a story built around one mistake, one heartbreak, one missed opportunity, or one dream that didn't turn out the way you hoped. And somewhere along the way, we start treating those stories like facts. We stop raising our hand. We stop taking chances. And we convince ourselves that this is just who we are now. But what if that's not true? What if the version of you that's sitting here today isn't meant to stay exactly as it is? What if every setback, every detour, every closed door wasn't there to tell you no, but to ask you a different question altogether? What if your greatest strength isn't holding on to who you've been, but having the courage to become someone you've never been before? My name's Dan Bradley, and this is Braving the Bright Side. Hello, Brightsiders, and happy Friday, July 17th to you all. Can you believe we're already halfway through summer? I don't know where the time's going. Now, if you're into apocalyptic scenery, boy howdy, this is your moment. I'm looking out my window right now, and the sky is orange instead of blue. The sun looks like it's staring directly into my soul, like the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings, which is both terrifying and harrowing at the same time. Between the wildfire smoke and the air quality and every other headline trying to convince me that the world is ending, it's a lot, But apparently we can't eat half the produce anymore without wondering if we're signing up for an extended stay in the bathroom. So pretty cool. So, other than that, hot girl summer seems to be going phenomenally well. In all seriousness, I hope you're finding ways to enjoy your summer despite literally what I just said, everything I just said. The world has a funny way of demanding our attention, especially when the news cycle feels like it's competing to see who can ruin your day the fastest and also the worst. So that's exactly why I believe it's so important to keep looking for the good out there, Not because we have to ignore reality, but because hope deserves our attention too. And as I've stated many, many times on here before, sometimes you have to dig through wildfires and, orange skies to find it, but it's worth it. So now, podcast-wise, I am ridiculously excited because there are some really cool things happening behind the scenes here. First off, if you remember my conversation with Kip Grange from Sonder Mountain Company out in Colorado, we started working on what I think is going to be a pretty incredible collaboration. The plan is to create official Braving the Brightside merchandise featuring Kip's amazing artwork and design style. But the part I'm most excited about is this. A portion of every sale will go directly towards helping underfunded sober living homes and recovery organizations right here in the Philadelphia area. We're still ironing out the details, but the wheels are definitely in motion, and I can't wait to show you what we're creating. If we can build something that not only represents this community, but also gives back to people rebuilding their lives, boy howdy, that's exactly the kind of project I want this podcast to be involved in. Now, the second announcement is, honestly, it's kind of surreal. I just got this news yesterday. So, if you haven't heard, for the first time in more than 70 years, America is launching a professional women's baseball league. The last time women played professional baseball was during World War II, while many of the men were overseas. If you've ever seen A League of Their Own, which if you haven't, you absolutely should. It's one of my favorite baseball movies ever. One of my favorite movies. You already know just how important that moment was. Well, history is happening again. From July 31st through August 2nd, the Women's Professional Baseball League, the WPBL, will officially kick off its inaugural season in Springfield, Illinois. And, you ready for this? Braving the Bright Side will be there. We were granted full media credentials for the entire opening weekend. I'll be traveling out with my good friend Brad from Bespoke Content Creation, and together we'll be covering the event from the inside, interviewing players, coaches, league officials, and a commissioner, Justine Siegel, whose years of dedication helped make this league a reality. Sure, I love baseball, but what excites me even more are the stories behind the game. Where did these women sacrifice to get here? How many doors were closed before one finally opened? What does this moment mean to them and to the little girls who will grow up seeing women playing professional baseball? These are conversations I cannot wait to have. We'll also be covering the postseason in September, so this isn't just a one-time event. This is the beginning of something really special, and I genuinely can't tell you how honored I am that Braving the Bright Side gets to help tell these stories. So, big things are happening around here, and I could not be more grateful that you're along for the ride. Now then, since it looks like the world's still on fire from outside my window, I think we could all use a little reminder that there's still plenty of good happening out there. So, that being said, let's head over to the Feel Good News Network. This is the part of the show that is your reminder that not everything is chaos, not everything is broken, and no matter what it looks like outside your window, not everything is always on fire. There are still people helping people, animals being saved, and ideas making life better. This is your Good News Network. Alrighty, I'm not sure if you can hear, but John Ralphio has clawed his way onto my chest and into my heart, and will be joining us for the Good News Network. All right, here we go. Number one, India launches its first bullet train with Japanese engineering support. After years of planning, India's first high-speed rail line is taking shape with major support from Japanese engineers and technology. It's a milestone that could dramatically reduce travel times while strengthening economic connections across the country. Number two, Maine records its biggest river herring run in decades. More than 20 million river herring returned to Maine rivers this year, the highest count in decades. Years of dam removals and habitat restoration are paying off in a huge way for the ecosystem. Number three, Brazil's humpback whale population has exploded in the best way. Since commercial whaling ended, Brazil's humpback whale population has grown 27-fold, leading to booming whale watching tourism and remarkable conservation success story. Number four, restaurant owner returns $12,000 found inside an old cabinet. A South Carolina restaurant owner discovered $12,000 hidden inside a cabinet he purchased. Instead of keeping it, he tracked down the former owner and returned every dollar. The previous owner was overwhelmed, saying the money had been forgotten years earlier. Number five, 4 orphaned bob kittens rescued in one incredible week. Wildlife rehabilitators rescued 4 different bob kittens in the same week. They're now growing stronger together before eventually being released back into the wild. Everybody loves a baby animal story. And I couldn't remember what a bob kitten was. And then I looked it up and good Lord, Google bob kitten. And you're welcome. Number 6, scientists detect sugar in deep space for the first time. Astronomers discovered a form of simple sugar floating in interstellar space, providing another clue that some of life's building blocks may be far more common throughout the universe than previously believed. I have so many questions, like who thought to test something found in space for sugar? Wild. Number 7, Porto makes public transportation free. Porto. Okay. The Portuguese city of Porto has introduced free public transportation for young people and seniors, making commuting more affordable while encouraging greener travel. And number 8, new swab test could detect oral cancer in minutes. Researchers have developed a quick, non invasive swab that can detect signs of oral cancer much faster than traditional methods. Earlier detection could mean dramatically better outcomes for patients. And that is your Feel Good News Network. All right, let's switch gears here. Look, life has a funny way of taking us down roads we never really planned to travel, right? But every once in a while, you meet someone who's learned to see the detours not as dead ends, but as invitations to grow. Today's guest has built a life around that idea, and I think you're going to take something meaningful away from this conversation. Here's my interview with one Craig Eagleson. Today's guest is Craig Eagleson, transformational coach, entrepreneur, Army Ranger veteran, and leader who spent decades helping people grow through challenge and change. From military service to corporate leadership to coaching others through personal transformation, Craig's journey is a powerful reminder that some of life's greatest growth happens when we're willing to reinvent ourselves. Craig, welcome to Braving the Bright Side, my friend. How are you?
Exciting to be here. I'm doing great.
Good, man. We're excited to have you here. Where are you at now in the world?
So home is now in South Carolina, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
How's the weather? Gorgeous?
it's beautiful today. It's been nice here since March. So, can't
Yeah.
beat that.
Nice. That's awesome. We're just getting good weather in Philly right now, so it's nice here.
I was up there this weekend.
That's right. That's right. You were doing a book signing.
Yeah.
Well, Craig, I have to ask because as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, first and foremost, but also just a badass last name. I meant to ask you this before. What is Eagleson? Is there a story behind that? Do you know
Yeah,
what?
it's a great. I get that question all the time. We are an Italian family through and through. Um, my father at birth was adopted um, by a man named Eagleson,
Mhm.
and just took that name and never changed when he found what his real name was. So, um, I'll tell you, growing up with the name was everybody was like, wait, you walk in my house and you see this family that looks like they belong in a soprano. Like I showed you my father-in-law picture. I mean, it really is like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
My mom's from Sicily. My in-laws are all from Sicily. So it's like, you walk in around those people are like, what's Eagleson? But to me, that's my name, right? It's always what I
Yeah.
love it because I feel it's like a very patriotic name, right?
Yeah. My God.
Eagle,
Yeah.
right? So, I got an eagle tattooed on my back. I got the American flag on my ribs. So, to me, it's always been just, it's such a patriotic name, but you get a lot of
Mhm.
questions. That's
That's great. Well, I mean, when we get into your story, it makes absolute sense. You
yeah,
are, boy, howdy, you are an Eagleson. I'll give you that.
yeah.
Um, all right. So for those who haven't met you yet or know who you are, how about who is Craig Eagleson today and what chapter of life are you currently living in?
Yeah, so great question. So Craig Eagleson today, man of many talents, I would say. I
Mhm.
currently am the president of a national insurance agency. It's my day job. I am also an entrepreneur, but so I call myself a leader, coach, motivator, trainer. I own Prestige Transformational Services. And that's where, I'm currently writing my own book. I'm also involved, well, I'm already in one collaborative book that we just won the Guinness Book of World Records on Saturday in Philly, which was really exciting to be a part of. And I'm
Wow. That's
collaborating
cool.
on two other books that are going to be coming out in the next few months. So, yeah, coaching training is something I've done my whole life. I've been in leadership roles for over 25, 26 years now. So I've always coached people, but 2017 is where it really changed for me, where I went to the John Maxwell School, and I got
Mhm.
credited by John Maxwell as a leader, trainer, speaker, coach. And I met a man named Christian Simpson. And then over the last few years, I got accredited with Christian Simpson's Conscious Coaching Academy on what coaching truly is. And I'm now accredited with the European Coaching Council, which is one of the oldest coaching councils in the world.
Wow. That's incredible,
Yeah.
man. Well, listen, your story, like I kind of teased at the beginning there, is all about, you've worn many hats. You've reinvented, you found yourself in different parts of your life that you're like, okay, time to move on, which I find fascinating. And I think people will as well. So real quick, when you look back at young Craig, what kind of kid were you? And was there anything in your early experiences that kind of, was it be mentors or hardships that kind of shaped, the man that you would eventually become?
Craig Eagleson, the young fake, we wild. I mean, I was an '80s kid, so I mean, we were
Yeah.
all wild child, right? We were all wild
Same girl.
children.
Same.
We rode our bikes with no helmets and no knee pads. If we fell, we bruised, we broke bones, climbed trees. So yeah, I definitely grew up in the '80s in that wild child side. The young me was really so focused in friends, sports, hanging out. My father grew up in Brooklyn in the '60s. My mom and dad, and he never went to school, so he tried to push us to go harder in school, and just kind of didn't take a little bit. Right, I was so focused on the other
Uh,
stuff. My vision in life was I was going to play center field for the New York Yankees. That was just what it was going to be. Not realizing how hard that was going to be. Right, so my dad used to always say, "Craig, less than 1% of kids make it." Right, so
yeah.
I at 17, I got offered a scholarship for cross country and baseball at the University of Coastal Carolina. And I
Wow.
was like, hey, wow, this is really going to happen. I'm going to go play baseball in college. Like I'm going to, and then because of the choices I made, lost the scholarship because of a proposition. I think it was Prop 42 or whatever. I can't remember. If you didn't have the grades, you couldn't get the scholarship, right? So
Yeah.
I get hit real hard in life at a very young age going, well, hey, the choices you made, well, now this is what you
Mm.
have. And, my father, who, my dad passed away at a young age, was always my mentor. And he just said to me, hey, listen, you've had a lot of fun. Now the fun stops and now you got to go to school. And I'm not going to allow you to go down there and chase girls and party and do all this stuff, without putting time to your study. So you want to go to county college for 2 years? I'm going to pay for it. You're going to get good grades, and then we'll go from there. And it really set me on a path of I went to county college all 4 semesters. I made the dean's list. And me and one of my best friends, we talk about it all the time. We weren't stupid. We just didn't apply ourselves in the right areas. Um,
Yeah.
so I think for me, that was a really big learning lesson about choices, about the choice you made. And then went on to Seton Hall, and I was going to walk on play there. I was playing in the summer league. The coach met me, and hey, go play in the summer league. I ended up getting hurt, and that just everything just kind of blew up from there. So, but focused on my studies and graduated college, and then get those choices I made. I graduated from Seton Hall with good grades, and it was law school, and you know, at that point, I was such a competitive person in sports that I felt like I lost something, right? This competitive piece,
Mhm.
didn't really know where I was going, what I was going to do. And I don't know why the military was calling me. It was a race to go. Everybody's like, well, you usually go in the military a little younger. Me and my brother decided we were going to go together. Um,
How old were you at this point?
I was 22 at that point,
Okay.
roughly. I just graduated 21, 22. And so my brother brought me to a recruiter. He's like, we're going to be Delta Force agents. We're going to go into JAG. So we signed up. Our entry point was you go into infantry, Army Ranger, and you go from there. 6 weeks before deployment, my brother gets into a fight. He can't go into the military anymore. I ended up breaking my hand on a ski trip, which delayed me a year and a half. Um,
Wow.
so that delayed me. I didn't go in until 95, 96. So it delayed me about a year, almost a year for the broken hand. And
They had you like on injured reserve, like the IR list
yeah,
for Army
fine.
Ranger.
Well, not for the military, right? You just delay your deployment because you
Okay. Yeah.
signed the papers, and it healed. And I'll remember the night I left. My brother comes up the stairs, kind of laughing. He's like, "Oh, glad I got in that fight. Good luck." And I deployed and went to the military, basic training, airborne, Ranger indoctrination program, and then assigned to a Ranger
Mm.
unit. I had got hurt on one of the night jumps we did early in airborne school, and it kind of lingered. And let me tell you, being attached to a unit like that, we did some really high speed stuff. I mean, I was there a little over a year. I learned so much about myself, about people, about just again teamwork. Right, I was a sports guy, so everything was competitive. Your teammates, your
Mhm.
brothers. the guys that I met, some really good guys there, are still talking. Again, the injury just didn't get away, and it just ended my time there. But I will tell you, what I learned about myself and resiliency, that was my first lesson in true resiliency. When you're doing a 27, I was 150 pounds, 27 miles, 150 pounds on my back on a 150-pound kid. And, I got a guy next to me that's, 3 times my size pulling me along going, come on, we'll make it. You learn a lot about yourself. And I've taken all those lessons into life. But that was, that was my initial brush with the young Craig and learning and then coming into
Mm.
life.
Wow. Yeah. That pivotal moment when you realize, someone else is pulling you along as well. Like,
Yeah.
we got to get this done. We got to do this.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating because I imagine, kind of what you just said, that young kid, young Craig meets adult Craig, and that's where it's, you guys blend, and then you're off to the races. You said you were in an Army Ranger for about a year. I imagine the mental toughness alone that taught you kind of, set you up for everything afterwards.
1,000%. There's nothing, all the training after I've done that, I think that time really helped. My upbringing, my dad was really tough on us, right? He challenged us all the time. My dad was just a tough guy from Brooklyn. You didn't mess with him, and he really raised me and my brother. And nothing will stop you, right? But it's that resilient mindset of, hey, listen, really nothing can happen. I remember being in one of, you go to this Ranger indoctrination program and you got to fight on this little slab. You got 2 or 3 guys battling you, and you're in a 4x4 slab, and you're getting hit from every direction, and you're just fighting. And they're teaching you about fighting, about, what could happen in time of war. And I remember, I'm sitting down for this interview with this company, and they got a panel of 9 people interviewing me. And the guy says, you must be intimidated. I was like, I started laughing, like, really, you call this intimidation? Yeah, unless you guys want to put boxing gloves on and start pounding on me, there's no intimidation. And even at that, we're going to go. Right. So, you learn that. That's, those skills that you learn, even in a short time in the military, you learn those things, and you see how they operate. You see how special operators work. I tell people all the time, when you're there, I watch some really great minds. These guys are the best of the best. And I got to interact with some Delta guys. They don't plan for just, hey, we're going to go do this. They plan for A, B through Z. What happens if each step fails? How do we come back? And that's why they don't fail. Right. And even when they fail, they come back. And I think for me in life, that helped me prepare for everything I've done. I've always got the next plans laid out in case this plan doesn't work. You learn so much about how do you set yourself up to get through challenging times. And when you fail, you don't fall apart. You move on because you're ready. You were ready for the failure. So you just keep moving.
That's cool. Yeah. I was going to say, like, what lessons kind of did you pull first in business and leadership? But that you just answered that right there. That's pretty badass.
And I think
many people.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that failure, because, in the business world, you fail constantly. When I got out of the military, I was go work with my dad in insurance and life insurance. And I did. I did that on the side with him. But he wanted me to work my way up the corporate ladder, go be more, do more. And I got promoted very quickly in some companies. But you get promoted and then you hit stumbling blocks of, hey, I'm leading like I'm in the military still. So you got to adapt to that. You're a young guy. I'm 27. I'm leading from the front. You fail in this, you fail in that, and you take all those lessons and go, all right, well, we failed this, but all right, we're just going to pivot and do this. A lot of people, when I saw them fail, they're like, I don't know what to throw their hands up. I don't know what to do now, because they weren't prepared, right? They didn't have the plans laid out, where in my mind, I'm like, all right, if this doesn't work, we'll move from here. And just when I failed at something, it just didn't bother me. I was like, all right, we failed, but there's a way to get through this. And I had some really good mentors in the business world that would give me some coaching and guidance and mentoring of, hey, Craig, here's what you should be doing. Here's what I've done. See if this helps you. But it just added to it. So yeah, when you know that failure is what builds success from a young age, when you fail, it doesn't bother you. I saw a lot of people just get so down on themselves. They're going, oh, what do I do? Well, you just pivot. I just thought that was normal.
Right. Failure's not the end of it. Yeah. It's just a small step, really. It's a pivot. That's what I've kind of always embraced that, mostly because I failed. I failed a lot throughout my life. But I've always looked at it as it's not the floor. Failure is not the floor. It's not the bottom. It's just a part of it. And, even nowadays, I'm looking at certain situations as I'm trying to build, different avenues in my life. And I'm like, well, this doesn't go right, then I'll figure it out. I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure it out. It's going to be fine.
Right.
So, many people I feel like struggle once they get out of the military and they transition back into civilian life. Was that a thing for you, or did you kind of seamlessly kind of make your way into, the business chapter of your life, or?
Yeah, I was there a short time. I don't think when you leave the military, they have this out thing of reacclimating to civilian life, right? Because it's a whole different world
Mhm.
over there. I was there a short time. I think when you're there less than 5 years, there's not a hard
Mm.
transfer back when you're there, and especially when you go into a deployed zone or do some of that stuff, it makes it a little harder because you're seeing that stuff. I didn't have any of that. Unfortunately, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever you call it. So for me,
Right.
coming back, it was just a matter of I was able to utilize those skills that I had learned. I think that just made me much better to attack life with just a really whole different point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, like I said, you've worn a lot of hats throughout your career, enterprise, finance, entrepreneurship, coaching. Um, let's get into that. What drove you to, I mean, like I said, s- explain to me the steps and the path that took you to where you're at now, as you left that chapter of military, Army Ranger, and now you're going into business.
Yeah, so I started with Enterprise Rent a Car in '98. Got promoted really fast. Well, great company. I mean, I learned a ton, and it was just a great chapter of my life. I was flourishing. I got promoted several times. I was at the top. Was leading a large sales team. I got promoted, moved to upstate New York. And then that time came to an
Wow.
end, right? And along that time, me and my dad, I'd go on cases with him still. I'd still sell life insurance, or, he'd be on a P&C case and I'd have a conversation with a client. So insurance industry since I was 12. So I know it very well.
Hmm.
And then, I got an opportunity to go work for Northwestern Mutual up there. And it was, again, entrepreneurship's always what I would do in the life insurance industry. It was just finance, insurance has always been in my blood, something I always loved to do, was always around it. And I made that move. And then several months later, life just kind of stepped up again. And life said, well, hey, here's some more challenges. January of 2013, my father-in-law passed away. My wife's great grandmother passed away next month. My dad passed away in March. And we lost our house to a fire in May. So
Wow.
2013 was, hey, we had to get back home. So I couldn't make that work in Jersey with that. So I had to take a step back. So I was working for Merrill Lynch. I was overseeing financial advisors in the banks. Great chapter in my life, stepped back. It gave me a lot of work-life balance, but we were dealing with a lot, right? So two young kids
Yeah.
dealing with
That's a
that.
hell of a year.
And I'll tell you that for me, that year was really the year where me and my wife just saw, hey, there's nothing can stop us, right? We dealt with that.
Mhm.
Two young kids, there's a rebuilding and figuring out where it was life's going to be and what we're doing, and took a step back in my career, my future. I'm worried about all this, but I still have to figure out my future. And the company was work. I mean, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, great company. I learned a lot, gave me good work life balance, but it wasn't the end game for me. I wanted a lot more, and I decided to open up my own insurance agencies. I opened up two Allstate
Mm.
agencies in 2018 after spending 5 years there. Um, and at that point, I just realized at that point is when coaching started coming to me. A friend of mine's like, you're really good at leading and coaching and developing. Like, you should look into that. And I went in, I think it was August of that year. I went to, it's called an IMC event with John Maxwell. And that's where I got certified with the John Maxwell leadership team on coaching, training, speaking. Spent about 120 hours prior of training. And that's where I met Christian Simpson. And Christian Simpson runs the Conscious Coaching Academy. He's out of the UK, world renowned coach, leader, trainer. And he just really opened my eyes to what coaching is and what it isn't. And coaching
Right.
isn't consulting, coaching isn't giving answers. Coaching is helping raise consciousness out of you to find the answers within and then live a permanent life operating on a level here versus down here. So
Right.
I spent a year getting accredited with him. And I'm still part of his program where we have weekly calls, and it's ongoing training and development and alliances. So that's really what started to get me into coaching at that time in 2017. So I ran the insurance agencies, and then I got a great offer from somebody who says, "Hey, I have a national independent agency. I want you to grow. I want you to be part of it." Made me an offer on a great salary, big part of benefits, and I came over. Now I realized that at that time, things weren't all that they seemed. And then last year, the company got bought out by an owner and a couple of his family, and they're great people. So they want me to grow this, agency for them, which I'm doing.
Hmm.
I spoke with my boss. He knows that I run Prestige Transformational, books, speaking, and coaching, but I do that on my own time, not interfering with business. But that's my future, right? My future, we'll see where it goes. I mean, the insurance agency is flourishing. We're growing rapidly. I love my team. I'm doing everything that they want, but I also am alongside of it, writing books, coaching. I've coached a bunch of people. I coached an individual last week, and after an hour and 30 minutes, he was just sitting there in awe. And I said, what's going on? And he's like, I'm just blown away by what we just did. He goes, I asked you to give me all the answers. He goes, and you didn't give me one answer. He goes, but I feel unbelievable right now. And I said, well, that's the whole thing. And he
Yes.
walked
Like,
away with a plan, and I called him. I called him twice the last 2 weeks, and he's on cloud nine. He made so many changes. And I said, well, we can continue going with this, but to me, that's what I love to do. You make that
right.
impact in somebody, and he was struggling, and he's not struggling anymore.
Well, as you kind of balance having a full-time job as well as, the part of you that's being pulled, the part of your soul that you're in the entrepreneurship. Um, you know, what do you is that what you enjoy the most in terms of is just being able to, I mean, really, not to sound like a Jerry Maguire movie, but help them help themselves, really. You know what I mean? 'Cause that's what you're saying you're doing is
Yeah.
you're not sitting down with them like do this, do this, do this. You're not just telling them all the right answers, what needs to do. The answers they need to find themselves, which I find fascinating and also more beneficial long term, kind of sets themselves up mentally to be more confident in their choices and what they're building. um is that something that that's your dream, right? Like that's where you want to go, that's where you want to retire and just keep doing.
Yeah, ultimately, building Prestige Transformational from the coaching side, the author side, that'll be the future for me. Um,
Yeah.
my time here will come to an end in the insurance. I'm building it, we're driving it. It's great. I love it. The people are great, the owners are great. We're blowing this company up. To me, it's a legacy of, hey, I had a chance to start it. I got the name Amval. I was a part of it. There's an eagle in the name, Amval Insurance,
Hmm.
right? So, and the owner gave me that because he's like, you're starting it, so be part of it. And I love being part of it. But
That's
yeah, to
cool.
your point, the future retirement that looks like, right? Growing prestige. And to answer your point though, yeah, I mean, coaching is not consulting, and they both have their place. Consulting is telling people what to do, mentoring is helping and guiding, teaching is giving information, coaching is helping you find the answers from within. Now, you may get stuck,
Hmm.
and I may step out of the coaching role and give you something spur and give you a jolt, but you don't have to take it. And
Yeah.
coaching is about helping. Christian taught me one thing a long time ago is, and it's stuck with me, is choice is a function of awareness. What you choose to be aware of, you
Mm.
control. What you choose to be unaware of controls you. So if you're unaware of some things in your blind spot, it's controlling your choices, and it's keeping you within your current conditions and circumstances, whether you like it or not. So until you're able to control those things you're unaware of and control them and put them in place and consciously make choices, you'll never be in control. And that's what I love about what I do. And again, this is a gentleman I saw. He thought I had to give him the answers, and when he realized he had the answers from within, he was blown away. But to your point, though, it's a much better way, because what happens is you stick with it. Then when you come up with the solutions and you come up with the answers, you commit yourself to it, versus Craig going, hey Dan, go do 1, 2, and 3, come back next week. Craig, I did 1, 2, and 3, they didn't work because you weren't bought in.
Right.
They weren't your ideas. It's like that movie Inception. When it's your idea, it plants in your brain, you do it.
Mm.
So, I think it's a lot like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm loving doing both, growing. I mean, I spend a lot of time on the weekends going to events and doing books, and, at night I'll do coaching, or first thing in the morning, I'll do coaching with clients. So I
Yeah.
get to do both. And, the great thing is, my kids are both grown, son's just done. It's me and my wife. So I get to balance both of those while spending enough time with my wife and being able to go to the beach and enjoy vacation.
That's amazing. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. While helping other people.
Yeah.
What is the most common struggle people bring to you nowadays in your coaching?
The
How
the
you
the
find it?
common themes I've been finding are, I'm working so much I'm struggling with growth. I'm struggling with revenue. I'm struggling with all these things. I'm struggling trying to run my business, and I'm sacrificing my life. And I hear this
Mm.
constantly with entrepreneurs. It's much worse with entrepreneurs, and that's interesting. Entrepreneurs feel they have to work 7 days a week. They have to feel if they work 24 hours a day, and if they're not doing something right. And my question always is, what makes you feel like you have to work on a holiday? Because you're an entrepreneur? Who else is working? Why don't you deserve that day off? Just like everybody else. But it's the same struggle. The entrepreneur, they're over sacrificing. And then you have somebody in the business world who is, I can't find a way to grow or drive the revenue I need to get to the position I want. And what do I do? And then what do? They think working more or working on a holiday or grinding more is going to get the result. And it's really not that. It's just finding different answers. As we talked about earlier, it's pivoting and coming up with better solutions. And it's talking about coming up with plan B through Z, and pivoting doesn't mean you have to work 79, 80 hours a week or work 7 days a week. It doesn't mean that. It means
Yeah.
and find the answer. So yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that lately. And the people I work with and coach, it's just, they feel like they have to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Or they're going to miss something, or an opportunity is going to fly by and they have
Yeah.
no idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting, especially in this. I mean, we've touched on it before on this podcast, but there is very much a grind culture, right? That
Yeah.
a lot of people take pride in, for
A
sure.
good friend of mine mentored me a long time ago when I first met him in 2017. He was one of the biggest in Allstate agencies in the country, and we became really rapid friends. He was helping me with a lot of things, and he said, the one piece of advice I'll give you, Craig, is be where your feet are. So if you're home, be home. Now, a lot of us who work from home or remotely, or who work,
Hmm.
in your office at your home, that's hard, right? Because this is my office. But if I'm outside these doors and I'm not really working, my feet are there. I'm focused on my kids. I'm focused on my family. I'm focused on life. You take a day off. And listen, I'm just as much to blame. I don't take a ton of vacation because I kind of live in a world where it's vacation year round. We get to go to the beach every weekend, 10 months out of the year. So we take those 3-4 day trips.
Arsenal.
But when I'm at the beach, I'm at the beach with my wife. I'm not taking calls unless I have to, unless it's something super important. But I think that grind culture it's there, and people just don't realize if you just make some simple changes or figure out what it is
Hmm.
here's the thing, they haven't figured out what they want. And when I ask that simple question, what is it you want? You know, everybody's different. I want to run
Right.
my own.
Right.
I want to be the president of the company, and then you start to come up with plans how to get there. It doesn't. Nowhere in the plan doesn't say you got to work a grind culture.
Yeah. I find it fascinating too. Like, a lot of times people don't have an answer to that. What is it you want? Like, oh, I want to do this, this, this. So, like, it's great, but like, what do you actually want? Like, everybody wants that dream end of sitting on a beach on a laptop working from there, but nobody really knows what exactly that entails, what you're doing.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. It's because number one, you can't. It's hard to ask yourself, what do I want to do, and really find the answer. So if they
Mm.
haven't found, now there are some people who operate on a level that's here that just know, I know this is what I want to do. I'll tell you, since I've been accredited and I've gone through all the coaching training, I am operating on a very different level myself of consciousness, where I know what I want to do, how I want to do it, how I want to accomplish it, what is plan A through Z, whatever business I'm running. And I'm going after and attacking it, work with my teams. I'm operating differently, but I also have a coach that helps me. I have an alliance with another coach who we have a call every week, either before or after work, and we coach each other. It's part of what we do. So I have a coach, ask those questions. And I always have 3 top priorities I'm working on to make sure. So the problem is you can't just look in the mirror and go, damn, what is it you want? Now you could, you might get the answer, but some, people working with a professional coach, asking the hard questions, can get there. And once you're able to answer those things, life changes.
Hell yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Well, let's get into let's get into a little bit in terms of we'll start wrapping it up shortly. Is that cool?
Yeah, you tell me.
I'm just going to ask a couple rapid fire questions for Braving the Bright Side. How about this? When life knocks someone flat on their back, what's the first step towards standing up again?
Stand right up on your knees. Get on your knees and stand up. Dust yourself off and go. I've been there. Listen, 2013, 17 years old, 2013, 2008. I mean, listen, I have been there. I've been knocked down. Just think about it. You're in a street fight. Somebody knocks you down. What do? You just lay there and die, or do you get back up? The first thing when life just hits you with everything it has, it's just stand up. The first move that I have this shirt and it says, keep moving forward. And I wear it constantly. It's a t-shirt. Quitting is acceptable. Throwing up is acceptable. Not getting up is not acceptable.
Hell yeah.
I think and that came from life. I mean, my dad used to roughhouse me and my brother pretty hard. And then when we'd box, he'd hit you good. And he'd pop you. And he goes, listen, everybody's got the best well planned till they get popped in the mouth. And then you're bleeding on the ground. He's like, now just stand up and see what else happens. It's just that, I think it's that simple, man. When life hits you, it's, do you go into your bed and listen, different people react different ways. You go in your bed and cry. You just, lay in bed and sleep for days on end, or you just, hey, I'm going to get up and go. I'll tell you, 2.5 years ago, my wife got diagnosed with breast cancer. When she got the diagnosis, she cried, came to my office, was crying. Then it was, how are we going to attack this? And then you would have never known after her double mastectomy, you would have never known she had cancer. She fought cancer with a smile.
Wow.
So, she dusted herself up, got up, said, hey, I'm going to go through this. And her smile and her love beat it. Right. So
that's awesome.
I think that's, so I know it's rapid fire, but I think you just got to stand up and say,
no,
here we go.
Listen, that's badass. I love that answer. Where do you personally find hope when circumstances don't immediately improve?
A lot in my faith, I'm a very faithful person. So, the strength within my family, I have a lot of family support, my mom, my wife, my mom, my kids. I have so much support from my wife that it's like, hey, I know it's get us there. So I use that faith from both my faith in God, but my faith from my family, that helps me understand that even when times are the toughest, you'll get through it. And I use all that as my power to keep going. And then really, what is I want to accomplish? And I know what I want to accomplish. I know where I want to be. I know what I want to get done every single day. Coming in every day with a plan. Here's the top 6 things that need to get done today. And I have that plan every day. So when life knocks me down, it's hard to knock me down when you have that kind of, here's where we're going. Even when it hits you hard, having that faith and having that belief from others in you just keeps you going.
Yeah. Makes you unstoppable in a way.
Yeah.
Looking across all chapters of your life, soldier, leader, entrepreneur, coach, what has life taught you about becoming the person that you're meant to be?
If I look back over, the 30 years, it's all been development. If you talked to the 2003 leader in Craig Eagleson, who was killing business, making a ton of money, the business was making money, and you talk to the 2026 Craig, the way I coach and lead was much different. I used to tell people what to do. I used to be the mentor, the consultant, but I got results because I pushed really, really hard, and we were grinding and getting it done. And I was working 50 hours a week and we were having fun, but I was pushing so hard. The 2026 Craig, who has learned and refined and developed and made mistakes, would say to him, hey, don't worry about the mistakes you're going to make. Just keep learning from them. because there were so many things coming at me. Sometimes I didn't learn from all of them that right away, and I could have enhanced that process. But I look at today the way I coach my team. So if I have somebody on my team with that's an insurance company, they come to me and they say, "Hey, here's the trouble I'm having." I'll ask questions. "Hey, Craig, I need to do this." I'll ask questions. I will coach them like I coach a client versus giving the answer and telling what to do. Now, there's sometimes I got to do some of that, but I think what people want to do is they want to rush the experience and the learning and just get to the next level without it. And you know what?
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for experiences, learning, training, development. Uh, the one thing I will tell people to answer the final question is you have to invest in yourself. I think there's so many people that will look and go, I want to do X, but they're unwilling to invest in themselves for development, no matter what that is it coaching, is it a program, whatever it may be. They'll spend time. I'll listen to the podcast. I'll listen to these motivational quotes. Well, motivational quotes don't get you to get back up and grow. They're great. Listen, I have a book, every day I read. It's got inspirational stuff. It's the Stoics, right? I read all that stuff. That's great. I read the Bible, I read that. And it sticks in my mind, but that's not what gets me going. That's not what keeps me going. It's just a driver. And I think if, you go back, what people should do, it's okay to invest in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Investing in yourself is not, you shouldn't be asking how much it costs. What's the investment in myself going to deliver for me? And I was a victim of that. I used to look and be like, oh, this program's $5,000. I can't afford that. It wasn't a matter of afford. It was a matter, I just didn't want to invest in myself at that point.
Right. Same. I mean, that was something I struggled for a while. I always say, but when you invest in yourself, it took me a very long time to have the confidence in what I can do to really step into an idea where I can invest in myself. I was like, but then I would go and buy, sneakers or, whatever. I'd be spending the money regardless somewhere, yeah, exactly. But then when it came to actually put up or shut up, I'm not saying when you invest in yourself, like you're paying to open doors, but you are putting yourself in a position to do the reps, to learn certain things, to put you in front of a door, to give you the ability to open it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the big difference. You're not paying your way into situations. You're paying, like I said, to kind of start putting yourself in the gym in terms of mentally preparing to be in a situation that can open doors for you down the road.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think more people need to realize that, like you just said, you can listen to all the, not that there's anything wrong with that. I have a podcast. Please, everyone keep listening to me. But you can read and listen all you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to, like I said, put up or shut up and put yourself out there on the radar at some point in time and put money down on yourself.
Yeah. I'm listening to podcasts. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time. I mean, you pick up great nuggets on these things, listening to your podcast. I mean, I picked up great things. And so, I think it's, if you just rely on those things, or rely on the motivational quote or the YouTube video of get me motivated, it's good for about 30 minutes to get motivated. Podcasts are great. They're good informational segments. I'm learning from Dan Bradley and his guests that come on, but there's more to it, right? Then it's, hey, how do I go to that investment in myself? So maybe I could be sitting on Dan's podcast. What value do I bring to Dan and to his, hopefully the viewers that are watching this walk away and go, wow, there was really some good information that Craig gave me that I could go put to use, right? And that comes because you and I connected and you brought me on here.
Yeah, I love that. Exactly. I mean, that's kind of the point of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Other people can kind of pull from this, learn from it, and then hopefully take action themselves. All right, I got one more question for you, Craig. So I know you're a busy guy, so I'll let you get back to the beach. When all is said and done, what does braving the bright side mean to you?
It's funny as I think about, I can correlate to, I'm writing my book. It's called The Power of Choice. And I was looking at covers the other night, and there's this, again, it goes back to what we're talking about, this grind. Everybody thinks they have to grind, but braving the bright side means living life on the fun side, right? Like living in the light versus the darkness. One cover that had a little darkness here and a road going here to light. Which road are you taking? And I think too many people are grinding so hard that they're not living the bright side of life and enjoying the work-life balance and enjoying families, or we're going out or getting to the beach or vacationing. They're living in this, I've got to work hard. I don't have the money. I can't invest in myself. I can't really take that vacation. I can't do this. I just got to live here. And if you look at divorce rates and you look at anxiety rates, you look at all that, not enough people are braving the bright side.
Mm.
I'm focused on, yeah, listen, is work stressful? No, listen, work's stressful for me. There's a lot of pressure on me to perform. The owners expect me to do a lot. I expect a lot from me with prestige, right? So I have the same pressures. I have the same challenges that everybody else has. I'm just doing one or two things differently. I'm living on the bright side of life, focusing on what the bright side is, what I want, where I can get to, how do I accomplish. I've got plan A through Z laid out, so when failure hits, it's not hard. You know, when the day ends, I may end the day early and say to my wife, hey, let's end at 5 o'clock today. Let's go sit on the beach for an hour and a half, have a margarita on the beach in a day because, hey, we've worked hard this week. We deserve it.
Right.
Not enough people will take a minute or two. You know, my boss, listen, he calls me at 8:30 in the morning. He calls me at 8:30 at night. I answer. I do the job. I'm getting it done. So if he called me and said, hey, I'm leaving an hour early to go to the beach, is he really going to hammer me? Probably not. If I said to him, hey, I want to go play golf Thursday morning with a couple buddies and might be some networking in there, probably be okay with it. Do I do that? No, I don't do that. I mean, but I think too many folks are just so focused on this track of this negativity in that dark world where, you know, I wish I could say the book that like the dark and the bright. And I was thinking about it last night going on this show today was, you know, when you brave the bright side, you're braving living the life you want to live.
Mm.
That's where I take it.
Wow. That's awesome. I can't wait to see this book. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Let's
It's coming out good.
let's let people know where and how to find you, shall we? So let's
Yeah.
talk your website, your socials. I'll let you have it from here. Tell the people where to find you.
Yeah, so you can reach me at so it's Craig Eagleson. You can reach me at Craig CRAIG at prestigetransformational.com. Cell phone, always the easiest way to get me. I mean, I'm on that thing all day. 973-271-6100. Text, phone, email, voicemail. And the website is prestigetransformational.com.
Cool. I'll list all of this in the episode description as well, so they can easily click it and find you somewhere. When's the book coming out? Do you have an idea?
August, September. I think we targeted September, but we're moving
Wow.
pretty quickly. We're trying to get it to pre-sale, so we're trying to get the cover developed pretty quickly here. We're working with a publisher to get it developed and pre-sold, and you know, I think we're way ahead of schedule. So I'm thinking we'll be probably right mid to end of August.
Very cool, man. That's great. Listen, you gotta let me know when it goes live
Yeah.
because I would love to pick up a copy and also do a little shout out here on the podcast
No, I
for it.
appreciate it.
Craig, this has been fantastic. Listen, thanks for hanging out, going into you know, all the details of that life brings, and I really appreciate you kind of being open about it and some wisdom to the kids here.
Yeah, hopefully somebody picks up some nuggets and gets where they need to.
Oh yeah, Craig, thank you so much, man. I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day, buddy.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time on the show today.
Craig, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I really appreciate you sharing your journey so openly and honestly. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this conversation is that no matter where life leads us or how many times we're forced to change direction, we've really never done growing. So thank you for reminding us that setbacks don't really define us, that failure isn't the end of the story, and what investing in ourselves is always worth it. I wish you nothing but continued success with Prestige Transformational, your upcoming book, The Power of Choice, and everything else that's on the horizon. I have no doubt that you're going to continue to making a difference in a lot of people's lives. Thank you again, my friend. And boy, howdy, that'll do it for episode 35. Look at us, huh? Look at us go. Next week will be our, in 2 weeks will be our very special 1 year happy birthday episode, in which I'll be bringing back my old friend, F. Woods. to interview me about all the ups and downs and madness that is starting your own podcast and then trying to survive keeping that said podcast going. Looking forward to it. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow Braving the Bright Side on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find the show on Instagram at braving_the bright side, on Facebook and TikTok at Braving the Bright Side. For guest inquiries, speaking opportunities, coaching, or just to say hello, you can reach me at bravingthebrightside@gmail.com. Thank you for spending a little time on the bright side with me today. Until next time, keep braving it. One step, one sunrise, one new beginning at a time. I'll see you in a little bit. You take care of each other.